What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Wolf Crier here, and welcome to Behind the Shrines, our thoughts on the Diablo 2 Resurrected Technical Alpha. I am joined today by three wonderful members of the Diablo community, and they are going to introduce themselves, starting with MuggleMama.
Hi. Obviously MuggleMama. My name is Nicole. You can call me MuggleMama, Nicole, Nick. I'll answer to all of them. I stream typically with husband, also known as Jay Murda. In the community, you'll see us around just about everywhere. I've been streaming for about 2.5 years now. Love the Diablo community. We got to go to BlizzCon 2019 and meet many wonderful people. So we love the community. We hang out there. I stream on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter at MuggleMama13 and Instagram just MuggleMama. Oh, and YouTube, MuggleMama13. I forgot about YouTube.
Never forget about YouTube.
Mm.
And next up, we have Dredscythe.
Hello, my name is Dredscythe. You can call me Dred. I've been covering Diablo ever since the Diablo 3 vanilla beta. So, oh my god, 10 years with this game. And also just been doing community work for 20 years now. Currently working with BlizzPro, and I, unlike Muggle's been doing for 2.5 years, for about a week and a half, I've been doing streaming on my channel. So you can, Dredscythe, as it's spelled everywhere, and on Twitch, of course, it has to be different. Dread_Scythe.
And last but definitely not least, the mermaid in chief, KensGamingSpot.
Hi, I'm Ken. You can call me Chris or anything that isn't Susan. I've been streaming on Twitch for a very long time, and I don't want to say it out loud because somebody made an old guy joke earlier off camera. I play a lot of Diablo, or ARPGs in general, but I bounce around a little bit. We play a little bit of Fortnite every once in a while, and a whole lot of D3. So I've been around Diablo 3 since Season 2, and I mainly just do Twitch. So it's Ken's Gaming Spot.
And hopefully most of you know me. You can find me here on Twitch erratically and YouTube under the moniker Wolf Crier as well. Also erratically as of late. I'd like to get on a better schedule and stuff. Hopefully stuff like this will help me do so. But let's go ahead and dive into Diablo 2 Resurrected, at least the technical alpha. Prior to the launch of D2R, how much experience have you had with Diablo 2 Dredscythe?
All right. Now I've been saying like a little white lie that like I never played Diablo 2 ever before this. I did once by myself without any knowledge, not following any guide, going completely blind about a month before the game Diablo 3 was supposed to come out, because to be like have some sort of idea what I was supposed to get into. I think I didn't complete anything in Act 1, and I somehow wound up going through the underground tunnel to where you get to the other area, and then I was met with a pack of fire immune yetis, and I was of course playing a fire sorceress, and I died, and I literally said, like, no, screw this game, I'm done. So that was the extent of my experience at all with Diablo 2 coming into the Diablo 2 Resurrected alpha, that is this past, this weekend, still technically now. But yeah, completely blind. I've watched other people play, so I kind of had ideas of like Duriel and all that kind of Blood Raven, and I was like, "You're gonna die." Like, probably, you're probably not wrong, but we'll see. Spoilers, I didn't. Proved everyone wrong. But yeah, that's about it.
And Muggle, how much Diablo 2 have you played?
I'm about the same, or maybe even less than Dread. After BlizzCon 2019, my community convinced me I should play D2, and I said fine. I think it was we were between D3 seasons, and I was carried basically through the first 2.5 acts by like 4 or 5 people. I vaguely remember going through tunnels and killing things, but I remember dying a lot and people giving me portals so I could get back to my body, and it was not a lot of fun. I've seen people play it, like I've watched Mr. Llama and other people when they pick it up. Can't say I've necessarily paid attention to the content though. I'm usually there for the person, not what they're playing. So not
I've,
much at all.
I've seen a couple of those streams. Ken, how much did you play Diablo 2 prior to this alpha?
As a kid, I played it a lot over dial-up with a buddy of mine, and that was a long time ago, I think, and super casual. 2 years ago, I revisited the game as a wind druid, and I ran into something pretty similar to Dredscythe, where this thing was immune to both of the elements that I was putting out, and I was also immune to wanting to play any more of it. So I put it down, and it's been nice to circle back around to it with better knowledge this time. I have a little bit of experience.
I personally, I would love to say I played it in my days of my youth, but I played it for several years, about 7 to 8 years. But I was already growed up for the most part when it came out, at least mostly. I played it for quite a long time, and it was pretty much my main game in my younger days. Even while I was off playing other games, I would still boot it up and play with my friends or farm a little bit, see if I could find that elusive item. It's weird. I played for that long and I still never found something like a Zod rune or anything like that. But I definitely played probably a couple thousand hours of Diablo 2. But it's weird because playing this now and revisiting it shortly after the Diablo Immortal announcement, it's like I forgot everything as far as the quests and stuff. As I completed it, it started to come back to, oh, I remember this now, and that, that type of thing. But I played for quite a while. I used to really love it. It's why I was, in line for Diablo 3. Personally, it was the reason why I stuck with the Diablo franchise. All right, here's a quick one. Describe your experience with Diablo 2 Resurrected in 3 words or less. Ken.
Not enough time.
Ooh. Muggle.
Infuriating, pretty, and unsure.
I will go with amazingly beautiful and Dread. I said or less.
I know. You're coming to the person who did development hell for, a thesis on Diablo 3. I guess you could say in 3 words, I will buy.
Very nice. What was your favorite part of the playthrough or parts of the playthrough, and your most liked changes introduced with the remaster? And we'll start with MuggleMama for this one.
So, I mean, it looks gorgeous. They did an amazing job with the graphics, and I love that because that was one of my biggest hangups with trying to play it before. So I love that, but I have to say my favorite thing is the controller. Using a controller for it has made it way more enjoyable for me.
I think it looks absolutely beautiful. And it's weird. The other night I said this during my stream. It's like what we all imagined that we were playing back then. Um, they've brought it to such a beautiful place as far as the graphics go, and yet it's still the same game underneath, which is amazing. Blood Raven's death, for instance, that lightning going everywhere was such an incredible visual improvement, and it was pretty epic, but it was still that same, that death scene. I love the way that they are keeping the whole awesome, over dramatic death scenes, but updating them with today's graphics. I also really love the auto gold pickup because that was very tedious back in the day and something that I had always wanted in Diablo 2 when I was playing it, because you end up needing that gold for repairing and stuff like that. Overall, it's just very beautiful. Let's go with Dread.
I mean, it's weird because when people ask, like, is the game worth it? I'm like, I never played the original, so I couldn't tell you. But visually, it's amazing. Like, as someone who never played D2, going through certain areas and with some of the, like, the blood rogues, whatever they're called, the ones that you're killing, to go between what they look like and what they look like now when you're in areas with like certain mobs. The crawling like bugs that do the lightning, that emit the lightning in Act 2. I call them the baby tremors because that's what they look like. Like going back and forth. For me, that's a cool feature because I get all the benefits of playing the game in a modern way, but I can go back to at least see what everyone else kind of saw. So it's not really nostalgia, but I can say, like, I understand it. I get it now. And that was pretty much my whole experience this weekend. And I made sure to go through and finish Act 2 before we had this podcast of. But yeah, I mean, just be able to switch back and forth is an amazing feature in itself. As you touch on the gold pickup and everything. But I think now playing Diablo 3 and going backwards to Diablo 2, I think I have a much more fond love for the franchise that would never have been there if Blizzard never did this in the first place. So I guess in the end, that's also something I like from this whole experience as well.
Nice. Ken.
My favorite part of the whole playthrough is that it's Vicarious Visions that put this together. Blizzard made an amazing choice picking them up for it. It's been nice to just slow down and smell the roses. Like, you can zoom in, you can switch the graphics around, you can just kind of like chill out in an area. Like, the mausoleum leading, when you do the Endariel fight, I think at the end of Act 1, how you can zoom in on this is macabre, but the rogues that are tucked into the back corner and they're lit on fire. If you go over there and you switch the graphics, you see how, like, there wasn't a lot of life in that scene. And then when you switch over to the new stuff, it's just fantastic. Like, a lot going on, lighting, graphics. It's just good. The gold pickup is great. I'm still trying to break myself of the habit of picking gold up manually. So that's been a nice thing to have.
Now,
positive all around.
Nice. What would you change about the remaster? Or rather, what was your least favorite part, or something from the original that wasn't changed or changed enough that you'd like to see implemented in the future going forward with this remake? I personally, I don't like this skill or attribute button where it's at. It's too small, and just being in the middle of the UI down there, it doesn't really draw your attention. I'm one of those people that, when I'm playing a game like Heroes of the Storm, that thing's really big. That tells you, hey, you need to spend your skill point, and I still miss it. So having this little bitty dot that needs to be clicked in order to bring up your skills, I'd like to see that more prominent somewhere like the original game. And to me, some of the UI definitely needs some improvement. The old way the UI looked, it was like, stony, like rock. And that doesn't translate well into the new UI as far as, open up your skill or your waypoint or your quest log, etc. Some of it, the quest log, I think looks really good, but the other two just really need some improvements overall. But as far as the gameplay itself, it is spot on. Next up, Dread on that one.
I guess just like referring back on my playthrough, the only it's not so much there was a bug where I was able to get through a door without the door being open. That was fun. But like actual something to change is I found that when I was going through all the doors, especially in the beginning, I guess, the noob, I would find I would like click to open a door and there was no audio cue that the door is open. So I would click again and try walking through a closed door and then open it, close it. I remember doing that like 10 times in a row. They're like, is there something wrong with the game or am I just being a little off right now? And so got in the habit of making sure open the door, move the mouse cursor far away from it, get myself in the next room, and then started getting a hang of it. I know, such a weird thing. Opening doors should not be complicated. But then again, like Diablo 3 doors, like why are they so hard? Why do they always need 2 hits to crack? Who knows? But yeah, I mean, just that and just getting the whole day and night cycle smoothed out. Because you'd be going through, all of a sudden you just see a light change and be like, did my game just do something weird or is this the game? And eventually you figure out like, okay, it's just the new engine kicking between the cycles, and it's a little harsh, so that needs to be smoothed out a little bit. But other than that, everything, from my experience, seemed really well.
Well noted. Ken?
I don't really, outside of just like a quality of life improvement with Amazon. I just played Amazon for the first time yesterday leading into today, and I noticed that their throw option for javelins has a little number associated to it. And when you switch over to a skill that consumes javelins, but it just doesn't show you the ammo, I feel like that would be a nice inclusion to show you an ammo count. Even though they have a UI now that when you get low on ammo, it's up in the top right. It shows, I think, when you get down to 15 of a particular ammo, it helps, but it'd be nice to have the number on the fly. Really, outside of that, I don't see the need to change anything that's being put forward yet. Like just a couple bug improvements for later on. But
Muggle?
So, I guess it kind of depends on how true to the original D2 that they're trying to stick to, because I started a sorceress and a bard, and I was getting infuriated with both of them because the sorceress, when you were aiming your shots, they would just randomly flip around and go behind you, or you'd be shooting at an enemy here and they'd go over here, and it was like, okay, I'm a barb and I'm literally like pounding somebody with my fist. I'm standing directly in front of them and it's not hitting them. Why is it not hitting them? And I'm told that's just the way the game is. I would like to see that changed because I can't. It's really frustrating for someone new to the game to play it that way and feel like I am hitting this. Why is this not working? And then you're dead. And so like there are things like that like it drives me crazy. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I guess maybe a loose tutorial would be nice too. I know back when D2 started, that wasn't the way games were made, but we are in a day and age where you have tutorials. So if they could add a small tutorial of just how do you change your skills, especially in a mouse and keyboard, I don't feel like that's intuitive at all. And so for someone brand new, that stuff bothers me. The controller was really intuitive, but keyboard and mouse is not.
It actually took me a little while to figure out how to re-keybind. I couldn't remember how from playing it in the past, and it took me like 20 minutes to figure it out. I think Ken came in and I had to ask him.
Yeah, but that wasn't bad. That wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't bad. Once you get used to it. Most of the missing and stuff comes with hit rating and all of that. That's something that heavily plays into D2 that isn't prominent in Diablo 3. You can't miss in Diablo 3. And you can miss a lot in Diablo 2. Bugs. Did you guys come across any major problems during your playthrough? Dread.
I mean, as I mentioned before, in fact, I have to go back into my offline playthrough and make a special clip. In Act 2, I think it was when I was in Talraj's tomb, running around. There was a door, and it was on, I guess, if you drew a line from west to north, that diagonal line. I think it may have been due to that, where you could kind of see behind the door. And for some reason, like I said, I was able to go back and forth through the wall with the door closed like 10 different times. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. So in the middle of my Let's Play, I'm like, oh, that's a bug report. And then I'll echo a little bit of what Muggle said about the sorceress and the skills. There were sometimes playing the sorceress where I knew where the mob was, I knew where my cursor was, and I casted a spell, and like the fireball went like 5 degrees off that straight line, and I'm like, that's not right. So there may be something with how the 3D engine is maybe interpreting off the old engine, and there's something being miss or overly translated, and then it gets shown that way. I'm not sure. But luckily enough, for the sake of the alpha, I didn't encounter anything else. Which for the most part goes to Blizzard's quality with their alphas and their betas, and how usually they're leaps and bounds better than other game studios at this point.
Nice, Ken.
When I was in the Claw Viper area on the Barbarian before I killed it accidentally, because I'm good at the game and I didn't want to show up everybody. The Claw Vipers, they have a knockback from when they hit you with their tail, and I got nailed by like 3 or 4 of them at the same time, and it locked my character in place, and he couldn't move anywhere. And it wasn't like I wasn't being attacked by the Vipers anymore, so it wasn't like a knockback lockdown. They like knocked me into a pixel, and then I just literally couldn't move to get anywhere. And that happened a couple times. On the Amazon, in I can't remember the tower that's got the Countess down at the bottom of it, where you do your first rune grind. But there's ghosts that are down in that area, and how they have this like brilliant blue light. Today I had a couple visual bugs where like part of their tendrils would just stick up into the sky, and you could see them from like 3 miles away before you get over to where they spawn, and then it would finally like go back to being the ghost itself. So I also had the targeting issue with some javelins where, like, say you're pointing left and you want to shoot your javelin left, it goes off to the right. but that wasn't happening all the time. So it's little things I think that could be. Ran into a couple things. Apparently, there's a duping issue with the shared stash that's going on right
Yeah,
now, but I haven't had a lot of time to research why that's happening or even try it myself. But
yeah,
that's all I ran into.
I'm sure that'll be fixed beforehand, before release for sure. At least it better be. But duping was a main component of Diablo 2 back in the day, so maybe
Mm-hmm.
they'll leave it in as a perk, but no, probably not. Muggle, any bugs?
So, Josh, husband, Josh and I were playing, and I was recording just me playing, and I'm sitting here talking to myself, and I was like, I was playing on the keyboard and mouse at the time, and I was like, I've got to change these keybinds because I keep hitting 1, 2, 3, and 4 to try and use my potions, and they weren't working because my default keybinds were QWER, and all of my skills were 1 through 0 instead of F1 through F whatever it goes to. And Josh literally stopped what he was doing. He was like, why did you change them to QWER? I said, I didn't. Those are my defaults. He and I have completely different defaults for many of our keys. It was like we were sitting there comparing the two. It was like, he goes, that's not the key for that. I was like, well, that's the key I have for that. So it was like, all right. So that was one big thing that obviously I had. The other thing literally happened like an hour ago. I was playing on the controller and I have no idea why, but my controller just quit working. And
Hmm.
it like broke my controller, and it ended up I was listening through my speakers on my computer. I tried to plug my headphones in, and all of a sudden my headphones didn't work. I had to restart my computer just to get my headphones to work. I don't know if they're completely related or not, if it was just a weird thing, but like all of a sudden I could no longer use my controller. And I even like loaded in like Fall Guys, and I could play Fall Guys with the controller, but the controller would not work in D2. So
Hmm.
those are my big things. I'm hoping after restarting my computer and I go back into it, the controller will work again, because I'm going to be really bummed if I can't finish it with the controller, because I don't like the keyboard.
Um, the only thing I encountered was I froze up while exiting once and had to bring up the Taskmaster and close it out that way. That sucked. It was after I was done playing. I hit exit, but once I hit exit, everything froze and I had to Control Alt delete it. I did also run into some sound glitches when I was switching back and forth between old school Diablo and Resurrected. Uh, the sound would just stop sometimes. Sometimes the sound would like almost double up after I did it. Other than that, I didn't really get into any issues. I did also, I gotta say, my Sork was definitely throwing fireballs all over the place as well. And I'm like, I swear my cursor is over here on the shaman, and yet here I am firing it off, good 45 degrees the other way. So I initially thought that maybe I wasn't clicking correctly, but now that you guys all bring up that everybody's been having that issue, so maybe it's that not reading where the mouse is on the updated version. So I don't know. But yeah, sometimes it was like, where am I shooting? Because that's not where I'm at. Um, so hopefully that is something that can be fixed and isn't a bug in the main game. Um, with all of that said, how much do you see yourself playing Diablo 2 Resurrected when it comes out? Can it become your main game, or is it something that you would play often? And we'll start with Ken for this one.
This will definitely become a main game. This is going to be like a tide over my home until D4, Diablo Immortal, some new IP drops. Definitely a lot of time is going to be spent with it.
I will play it. I can't say I'll play it a lot. It might be one of those things in between D3 seasons, or like when I can't do D3 for 4 months anymore because our seasons are getting longer and longer, it feels like. Um, Maybe we switch. It'll definitely be multiplayer. Like I probably will not sit down and play it myself. I can almost guarantee that. I'll play it if my community really wants to play it with me. We'll do like a community night running D2, but it won't be a main game, no. So
As far as me personally, I'm not even sure I have a main game anymore. I have a solid rotation of games that I play, that's for sure. You know, Diablo 3, Path of Exile. I jump into Last Epoch every now and then when they patch, and I play Fortnite with my kids, and the occasional first person shooter like Apex or Call of Duty here and there. I'm sure Diablo 2 Resurrected will make it into that rotation on some level, especially during its initial release. And of course, if there's any test phases, I'll be doing that as well. If I get invited, I will gladly do those. And I can see myself, like you said, Muggle, playing it once it has multiplayer. I prefer playing with friends. It's how I play things for the most part. Yes, I usually end up lasting longer than my friends when it comes to Diablo 3 seasons or Path of Exile leagues. So I stick out a couple more weeks than my parties do. But for the most part, I personally enjoy playing games with friends. It's why I do it. I do it for the social aspect. I'll stream it here and there, I'm sure, because it is Diablo 2. I loved it, but then I've also played it, and I've played Diablo 3, and, you know, I enjoy all of that. Let's go with Dread.
Um, you know, uh, playing Diablo 3 since it's beta, when we could only go up to level 13, and having this weird hate love relationship with Act 1 because, bounties and also the beta phase. I'll definitely see myself having um, Diablo 2 Resurrected along with Immortal when that comes out, rotating with Diablo 3. Not just for the break, but for having multiple different ways of how this franchise has been played. I mean, to keep it very precise, people probably haven't thought about it, but when Diablo 2 Resurrected, Immortal, and Diablo 4 come out, we'll have 6 different ways of playing Diablo. 6 different ways. That's the most ways to play a single franchise in Blizzard now. WoW doesn't even get close. Nothing. So I'll definitely play Diablo 3, probably at that point before the season starts and if there's anything interesting with the theme. Other than that, it'll probably be Immortal and Diablo 2 Resurrected. Just to, at least a solo character in Resurrected to complete the game by myself. To say, like, yes, I went through Act 1 through 5. I experienced the game for myself. I can watch all the cutscenes, hear all the dialogues, get that experience, and then probably play on stream with my guys every once in a while in multiplayer when because we have that chance, but they don't as far as the technical alpha is concerned. But yeah, I mean, I could very easily see myself just casually every once in a while just playing it, rotating it in, and at that point I'll follow a guide, so I'll at least understand the more intricacies of stats, the requirements to wear gear, because that's a thing versus what we're used to in Diablo 3, and like how the skills work, how does do the higher upper level builds actually function, stuff we do in Diablo 3, just I'll be going backwards instead of forwards, which is the usual deal. But yeah, I get very easy to see Diablo 2 Resurrected along with Immortal and Diablo 3 becoming a Diablo rotation. Like, roll the dice. What are we playing tonight?
All right, and to wrap that up with the follow-up question to that, and I'm throwing everybody, including myself, under the bus here. Diablo 2 Resurrected, Diablo Immortal, or Diablo 4? What are you most looking forward to? And we'll start with Muggle.
Yeah. Throw me under the bus first. Sorry. Um, this is a hard question for me because obviously I'm excited about D4. How can you not be excited about D4? Like, I've been a D3 streamer now for 2.5 years. I'm ready for D4. And I'm ready for all that new experience. But we have a long way to go for D4. And
Mhm.
we're talking about 2 games that are, in theory, being released this year. And when it comes down to that, Diablo Immortal all the way. I am so excited for that game. And I'm a big mobile phone gamer anyway, especially with the kids being in virtual school. I don't get time to sit down at my computer a whole lot anymore. I used to play a lot of games when the kids were at school, and now they're home and I have to monitor them. So I'm playing a lot more mobile phone games. So I'm excited for Diablo Immortal. I am excited for D4, and D2 is there for me. I mean, it's really good. I really like D2. It is going to be really good for the community, and I'm excited for the community for that. But personally, I'm not. I don't have the hype for it.
And me. Most excited? Diablo 4, 100%. No question about it. I've lived Diablo 2 and I've lived Diablo 3. I want to see the future. I want to see what this brand new team can bring to the franchise, and I want to see their version. I don't want to see Diablo 2 Part 2. I don't want to see Diablo 3 Part 2. I want to see Diablo 4. I want to see what this team brings. I want to see the influence of both Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, as well as Diablo 1, into Diablo 4. But I want a new game, and I want it to stand on its own and be its own thing. Diablo 4 is number one, the most thing that I'm looking forward to, but I also am looking forward to Diablo Immortal. I've played my fair share of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. I'll still play both of those games. Diablo 3, I'll play here and there. Diablo 2, when it comes out, I will play with friends. That will definitely be in my rotation. But so will Diablo Immortal. I am looking forward to it. I got to play the alpha for that, and you know what? It was Diablo. It was good storytelling in it. It was very action packed as far as the pace of the game. I love both Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. They both hold a special place in my heart, but I prefer the faster movement of games like Path of Exile and Diablo 3. Um, yes, I know speedrunners in Diablo 2 can move just as fast and have those type of builds, but I've been there, done that. I'll play it because it was fun and it's nostalgic and it looks pretty and it's much smoother now with this update. But D4 is what I'm waiting for, and I will be playing Diablo Immortal as well. I want to see what the future holds for not only Diablo, but just gaming in general. I'm not one of those, I'm older, but I don't want to live in the past. I want to see what's coming. Before I go, I want to see what's there ahead of me. I've played that behind me, and I will play it with friends, like I said, because it was a fun game. I enjoyed the hell out of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, but Diablo 4 for me is where it's going to be. Let's go with Dread.
When I first read the question prehand, I thought I was gonna be ready to answer it, but now I'm like, is this where I kind of give honest, blunt dread? um, I guess no matter what, I'm looking forward to all three because Diablo 2 will give me the history of the franchise. Diablo Immortal is kind of Diablo Immortal in my eye is the branch off future of Diablo if it was continuing down the D3 path. Diablo 4 seems to be the kind of branching forward of the Diablo franchise. Maybe not taking the full reins of Diablo 2, but kind of that legacy of Diablo 2. Not fully by any means, but sort of. You can kind of see those parallels in there, looking at Immortal, looking at Diablo 4. They're drastically different, but they're taking their legacies from two different games, but within the same franchise. It's kind of cool when you think about it. Diablo 2 Resurrected, I will look forward to, but it's not going to be the thing I most look forward to. Up until the itemization update last year, I was not sold on Diablo 4. Granted, it was and still is very much in its early development phases, but I feel like I'm on this as a content creator and as a player. I feel like I'm on this same rodeo that Diablo 3 went through. Granted, it's a new team and has some of the old members, so they understand the pitfalls they went through. They understand what they needed to do. They understand as far as moving the game forward. They know all that. But like, I just want to make sure that, as you said, Wolf Crier, and as you and I have talked before, it's making sure Diablo 4 is its own game. It can stand on its own 2 feet, and it can be a part of the Diablo franchise as its own game. And for my sake, and making sure that it's not an Olympic-sized swimming pool, but 6 inches deep. It has to have complexity with systems, and each one of those systems having a good amount of depth per system. So that's why there's just something to do. Every time you log on, like how World of Warcraft was back in the day, you would play World of Warcraft, and then you would, at work or at college or anywhere you had a computer, you would just go on the World of Warcraft website and you would just do talent builds. Like, oh, if I put 5 points here, then what if I just do 4 and I have one more extra point and then I can put it here? Like, the game lives in your head constantly. Whether that's good or not, obsessive or not, well, that's up to each individual person. But if the game doesn't have that, then it's probably too simple, and then there's probably something wrong there. So I'm cautiously optimistic on Diablo 4, but in my mind, there's still a long ways to go for it to prove that it's of the caliber to be Diablo 4 in its own right, not living up to the legacy of any previous games. So, to be fair, as I said before, Diablo 4 is still a long ways away, which means it's probably least developed. However, Immortal is way developed, and yet there's still about 50 to 60% of the game we haven't tested yet. And with what we have tested, it's beautiful. It's awesome. It's proving that it's a great game, period, and it's a great Diablo game, period. You do not need to use the hashtag mobile game in there at all. So I'm looking forward to Immortal. I'm looking forward to burning out my phone. I'm looking forward to Leviathan creaming us on the leaderboards, as he always does, in Paragon and Challenge Griff, because it's Leviathan. He has to. Even casually, running half marathons, he'll do it somehow, some way. So yeah, that I know, long-winded answer, but Immortal I'm looking forward to the most. Diablo 2 I would definitely play to make sure I get that experience. Diablo 4 I'm looking forward to as the future, but I'm cautiously optimistic, and there's still, in my mind, in my opinion, there's still a lot to prove to make sure that it's getting up to that point, especially with what PoE just showed off. And yeah, 2 separate games, 2 separate directions, but you know what? Competition is good. And when one company does something, it's up to the other one to basically put up or shut up.
Exactly. Ken.
I don't even know if Path of Exile and Blizzard are in like direct competition with one another on that topic. Sorry. Like they're good games, but I wouldn't see them as competing with one another. I'm looking forward to all 3. I think I'm as excited for each of them as I am their release dates. Like D4 is in the future, so I don't have to be jumping around and freaking out and wanting it right now. Although I do. Diablo Immortal, I think, is closer to us as a launch than D2R is. And I'm looking forward to Diablo 2 because I missed out on it. I was a kid when I played it, so I didn't get a chance to like really dig into it and learn it in and out and burn myself out on it. It's always been this magical game that I just couldn't get into. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all 3 of them. I would probably put it Diablo 2 Resurrected, then Diablo 4 with Immortal at the very bottom, but I'm very excited for all three.
Nice. All pretty different answers. But yeah, I think if we were to wrap this up overall, your thoughts on the, just a quick one sentence, your thoughts on the Resurrected Alpha and how it's going so far. We'll go with Ken.
It's fantastic. I hope we get more of these.
And
I hope they
Muggle?
roll them out in phases. I'm hoping that it's like we have the 3 classes, and then we get Acts 1 and 2. Then they add another 2 classes to it, and then they give us an extra act to play through, and then they just slowly roll out more and more of the game for us to test down the road. It was wonderful.
Nice. Muggle?
It looks incredible. They've done an amazing job, and I'm really excited for the community for this game. It's going to bring a lot of
Dread?
life back.
Oops, sorry. I keep
Nope,
doing
you're
that.
fine.
I'm
That was 2
horrible.
sentences.
Dread?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way as really both Ken and Muggle. I mean, I hope we get more. I hope I get to, even if it was during the alpha test and I beat the game fully, like, who cares? Like, I still did it. And it's great that Blizzard's actually doing this. And from what Ken said before, earlier, Vicarious Visions, man, they are earning their salt so hard with this. It's almost gonna be like, I can already see the like the community going like, all right, if the Vicarious Vision people aren't handling our remake, don't do it. Like, just full blown stop. Like if it ain't them, we don't want it. Type deal. So yeah, that's it pretty much.
Yeah, I think so far, personally, I think this has been very well received by the community, myself included. I've loved my time playing it. I am definitely having fun. I am still switching back and forth between Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 Resurrected while this alpha is going on, because I'm still enjoying Diablo 3. I like both games, and they are completely different games. They are completely, utterly different games. They're just in the same franchise. And I'm literally hoping that's how D4 goes, a completely different game. But I'm enjoying the alpha. It ends tomorrow morning, don't forget. So if you don't get a chance to
Do we know
play
what time it ends in the morning?
No, not really sure when, but it does end tomorrow morning. And hopefully everybody out there will have their ideas all wrapped up nice and neat and thoughts on it. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you so very much for tuning into this this vodcast Between the Shrines, our thoughts on Diablo 2 Resurrected. With that being said, does anybody else have anything they want to add before we wrap things up? I guess not. All right. Thank you all so very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have Dredscythe, KensGamingSpot, and MuggleMama on this show, and definitely check them out on Twitter. Check them out on Twitch and YouTube. I will be putting, maybe not Ken, maybe don't follow Ken.
Yeah,
You can follow him on
he's
Twitch.
obnoxious.
It's good on Twitch, but his Twitter's kind of shady. Little sus there. But
It's a couple words I'm not allowed to say on YouTube show.
at the end of this video on
You could say he's a little scaly.
at the end, I'll post their socials on YouTube so that you know how to reach them. They are all amazing people in their own rights. Also, all very helpful with Level with a Cause, the charity event that we run every season in Diablo 3. They are just amazing people.
I won. I actually won.
You did. No, you didn't. You lost. I almost agreed with you. All
I
right,
know,
but
that's why I won. I won.
thank you all so very much, and you all have a fantastic day. Peace.